Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, another episode of Caffeine and Green with your man, Connor Cardenas. And before we get into it today, I just want to give a huge shout out to the title sponsor of Caffeine and Green, which is 7 Seas Roasting Company, coming straight out of San Diego, California. My home roaster, and most of the time where you'll find me during the week. Now, what's so great about 7 Seas Roasting is that we're doing things a little bit different in specialty coffee. We're working with coffee farmers in villages in Laos and Vietnam, and we're bringing those coffees to life. But along with that, we're also showcasing other amazing coffees, Colombia's, Ethiopians, Guatemala's, Mexican coffees, which is coming down the pipe, so get ready, y'all. Now, full transparency, I am the head roaster at 7 Seas, as most of you know. But regardless, I think by now y'all know that I'm giving you straight fire with that coffee. So what I want you to do is head over to 7seasroasting.com, put in my code C&G at checkout, and you're going to get a deal, which is 3 bags of coffee for $30. I mean, that's a no-brainer if you really think about it, because 2 bags is $32 right there. So you're essentially getting 1 bag of coffee for free. It's a no-brainer, like I said. Now, right now, we have the El Jaguar, which is amazing. It's chocolate. It's nutty. It has a little bit of orange zest up front. We also have an array of new Lao coffees. The Katuat Village, we have the Phodom Kwan, and we also have the classic Setapung. Now, we also have some other things coming down the pipe, again, like I mentioned, so be ready, but that's what you have to choose for, and we have amazing, they're amazing coffees. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and again, use that code C&G at checkout. That's CANDG, and you're going to get that deal 3 for $30. Now, unfortunately, the charity coffees, which is the Kaha Collective and the Spikes Roast, don't come in this deal. But you still have so many coffees to choose from, it's all G. So head over, guys, C&G at checkout to get that deal. My guest today, this is a special one for me, folks. This is my man, Tall Man Dan. He said he's 6'6", but I swear, bro, he's like 6'8", damn near 7 foot. But he is the tallest dude I know for sure. His name is Daniel DeSanto, his first full name, but I call him Tall Man Dan. But he's so rad. He was there like the day I graduated from school. He was always showing up randomly, being on like skate trips, or I'll see him just through wherever. But no matter where he goes in the world, and you'll hear about all of this, we always end up kicking it again, having a beer, catching up, and he has some new fucking crazy stories every single time. It's so sick. I'm so glad I got to see him. He currently lives in South Africa, and he talks all about that. So please enjoy this podcast as much as I did. Dan DeSanto, Tall Man Dan. This is your time to shine, homie. Let's go. Give me caffeine and green. It's your boy Connor. What's good? Good. Caffeine and green. And we are live. Tall Man Dan. Daniel DeSanto, sir. Cheers. Welcome to Caffeine and Green, sir.
It's a pleasure.
My man, I'm going to get right into it. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. You living in South Africa.
Yeah.
Got to get closer to the mic.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay.
Straight out of South Africa right now. You're in the States till Saturday, and then you're going back to South Africa.
Yeah, 2-day flight.
2 days?
Nah, it's just one.
Oh, shit.
But 24 hours, man. It sucks. A long one.
Oh, my God.
But other side of the world isn't that far.
No.
No.
Why? Is it just with the layovers?
No, man. The flight from Johannesburg to New York was 14 hours, and then I had a 3-hour layover in New York, and then New York to LA is 5.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Bit of a headache. And I'm a Tall Man Dan, right? I don't fit
Dan,
in an airplane.
yo.
I actually go up to the people when I check in and say, "Hey, I don't fit."
Yo, you got that extra comfort, please? I will take that.
Can you please hook it up, because everyone else is going to be bummed. So usually they actually hook it up with a exit row or bulkhead, which is kind of nice.
Nice. How tall are you?
6'6".
Jesus.
Shrinking slowly. Thank goodness.
Shrinking slowly.
Yeah, with time, man.
Dude, and with that being said, you're a skateboarder. That's how we met. So for people who don't know Tall Man Dan, in my in our history, we met skateboarding. So with your tall ass and my definite short ass, dude, you stood out quite a bit while we were skating.
Yeah.
Which like the craziest nollie flips. Just so perfect. Bro. Hella high too. You just like when you're not trying nollie flip was higher than most people's regular nollie flip.
I think if I didn't start when I was a kid, it never would have happened. I think most things in my life, if I didn't start when I was a kid, it wouldn't have happened. My dad's about the same height and he can barely walk. He's so clumsy. You know, like there are times when I was a kid, he would be riding a bike and like going through the park or whatever. When we were in Delaware, and I would just hear and then I'd hear a splash, and I'd look back, and like my dad would be like tipped over on the side, just like kind of half drowning in the river. So thank God I started early. Yeah, thank God I started early. That's all I know.
Yeah, you never really fell either. I never saw you really like eat like a bunch of shit.
Thank God. Let's keep it that way. Let's knock on wood or something, you know. But it's a trip to be back, man. Like we were kind of going over and talking about how it's been 10 years.
10 years, bro. Yeah. Cause I'm 33 now. I met you when I was 23 cause I legit met you right when Animal Style was going on. I was still living in the Mohawk house. You went to Mohawk, right?
Nah, I came just after Mohawk.
Okay. So, maybe
I heard the legends of Mohawk, like riding off the roof on an
ottoman.
Oh, on an ottoman?
Yeah, that was Hodge.
I don't even know if that makes sense.
Do you know what ottoman is, right?
Isn't that like a bedside table?
So, okay, no. Well, maybe.
It doesn't have wheels.
It does have wheels. That's what I'm saying. It had fucking wheels on it, bro. So Hodge, we were having a party at Mohawk, and I don't know why it happened, but it's like somebody's like, yeah, you take the ottoman. So the ottoman was like this extension from the couch where you could like, it was on wheels and you just put your feet on it or whatever, but you could move it.
Okay.
So somehow we got it on the roof. I don't remember how. And Hodge got the bright idea, like, yo, we're gonna roll off the roof on the ottoman, and he's gonna like bail it or maybe just try to ride it off or something. I don't know what his thought process was when he did this. Either way, I was like, yo, let me grab my camera. So I don't know if Kevin filmed it as well, but I definitely have my camera. And I fucking was just bubble-eyed and shirt. Everybody's just like, Hodge. You're like, fuck, do it. And then, you remember little Eric? Yeah. So little Eric was in the house, and he was like, didn't want to miss it, and he was coming, but Hodge was already rolling. And so like, I'm filming this whole thing. So I'm seeing Eric come towards us while Hodge is about to roll off the thing, and Eric jumps out. And Hodge like rolls off and just like lets it go. Eric jumps back into the house, and like Hodge just hits the ground and just rolls. And we're just like, dude, it was insanity.
All I know is coming from Delaware and then kind of popping up in San Diego, working at Panera Bread, meeting Hodge, and then kind of having this entire community open up to me was crazy, man.
Dude, you were there for the beginning.
Absolutely crazy.
The absolute beginning too, though. Did you?
Absolute
you had
crazy.
Tricks in the original Animal Style.
I think so. Yeah.
Dude.
Absolutely crazy.
Holy
man.
shit! Yeah, that was 2009 to 2010. Yeah, bro. That was 10 years ago. Holy fuck. Dude, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
I'm not panicking or anything like that. I'm not that old yet.
Nah. But okay, so all that being said, we also, and just kind of catching up, we talked about how the last time I saw you was basically, it was in San Francisco when I was living there in 2015. So it's been 4 years since I've seen you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like the day I graduated college, we went out to dinner because nobody, like all my homies were like busy that night or gone or like whatever. So there was some shit going on. So out of everybody that I've ever met, I fucking called Dan. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And we fucking ate at Cha Cha Cha's.
Ooh.
Son. Best Cuban restaurant ever. I don't care if you debate me on this. It's the best. It's facts. On Hay Street, San Francisco.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shit was an epic night. We ended up walking all the way back over to like almost Russian Hill, like over on Polk by the acai shop.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, we were drinking like those tall ass Ballast Points.
Ooh.
Like walking through the city.
Hey, that's why you have to do it, man. You just put it in the brown bag.
Dude.
Get caught, pour it out.
Dude, but it wasn't even like they were like small beers. They were like the
The
straight
big ones.
like, yeah.
They better be.
Dude, holy shit. I was so drunk after that night. Oh my God. Because we had all that sangria too.
Yeah, dinner. Yeah. No, it was
Damn.
nice, man. I miss San Francisco. I definitely miss San Francisco.
So fill me in. What the fuck happened? Because now you live in South Africa. And I remember we've been DMing. And I'm like, yo, where are you now? And you're like, I'm in South Africa. I was like, dude, what the fuck? And as we're talking before the show started, we were talking about you were in London and you went to other places. So walk me through what happened after you left SF.
Okay. So, I mean, San Francisco was a trip to start at, man, because I didn't really know anyone when I moved out there. I was working at a nonprofit. So I studied abroad my senior year in Hong Kong, and I stayed there for the summer. Got to skate all those fully flared spots in Guangzhou and Shenzhen. And I came back, and my parents had just moved to San Diego. The only people I knew were you guys.
Yep.
And I felt like I felt a little out of my element, man. I was like, okay, now I'm supposed to like go out in the world and do something. I have a degree. Does that even mean anything? You know? I still felt like it was like a big ass struggle.
Where did you graduate from?
UC Santa Cruz.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Banana Slug.
Banana Slug. There you go.
Shit,
That's it.
son.
That's the one.
All right.
But I loved it, man. I loved it. I was only there for 1 year because I did 2 years in DC.
Okay.
And I got that in-state tuition. Ooh. And then...
That's because you're from Delaware.
Yeah, Delaware. And then I was in D. Yeah. I got to stop bouncing around.
Dude, you're
It's too
fucking
much.
all over the place, bro. You're a nomad.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. Okay, let's take the tangent.
Wait,
let's take the
no,
tangent
no,
for a
no,
second.
no. Okay.
One tangent.
All
So
right.
my dad just did 23andMe, and that shit came back, and it said that he was like 97% Neanderthal, which I think is kind of crazy. Yeah, they told him he was a Neanderthal. I would have been pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know? But they told him he was a Neanderthal, and I guess Neanderthals, they were kind of nomadic, weren't they? Or actually, they were the first people that did hunting and gathering and growing their own. No. They were the first people that had livestock and grew their own food. So maybe it's okay. Tangent's over. Okay. Come back here. But yeah, so came back from Hong Kong. Was like, holy shit. There was some family stuff going on, and I just was like, fuck it, I'm leaving. And I moved up to my friend Benjamin Moore's house.
What's that hat?
Yeah, it's a Benjamin Moore, man. Like, the paint company? He wrote to the paint company and was like, hey, my name's Ben. Sent a copy of his ID, and they sent him shirts, they sent him hats, they sent him all this shit. I've been rocking his hat for like probably about 10 years now, actually. It's kind of pathetic. It's not pathetic. It's wonderful.
You got some miles on it, bro.
Like around the world and back, like multiple times. But yeah, so I was there trying to figure shit out, looking for like any kind of job, looking at jobs at like fast food Chinese restaurants, because I was like, I miss China, I miss Hong Kong. Take me back.
Where were you at this point? Where was this?
So this was in Santa Cruz.
Okay, this is
living on the homie's floor. John, Chewy.
And this is while you're still in college or after?
Post.
Okay.
They were still in school, and I was just like bumming it, I was going out in the woods with a diary, just being like, okay, how do I do this shit? Like,
do what shit? Like
this
life?
thing called life, man. Like just like tripping out heavy, going out in the woods, like trying to like take some deep breaths and figure, okay, I got this much time, like let's do something meaningful, man.
All right.
And because before I came to Santa Cruz, I was working as a door-to-door salesman.
What the fuck?
And
dude, what?
I found a job on Craigslist because like I came here and I got the skate homies, but like job connects, got nothing. So I found a job on Craigslist, and I went door to door in some fucking area in San Diego, selling office supplies for Quill.com. And the craziest shit was I saw Tommy Sandoval trying like a crazy fucking trick over some bump to bar, and I just sat down and was like, I fucked this job. I never went back. I was just like, I was like dressed up in like a fucking tucked in shirt and had my book, probably looked like a Mormon. Yeah, he was probably freaked out that I stopped.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Spark up a spliff and he's all chilling.
He was working, man. He was working.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee.
He was working. Okay, yeah. Tangents. No more tangents. I'm going to focus.
So you left Santa Cruz. You were, Santa Cruz, no. We were talking about SF.
Yeah, SF. See,
so what happened after SF?
Got a job. SF was working for a nonprofit.
Yep.
It was doing free reconstructive plastic surgery for kids with cleft lips and palates internationally.
We used to talk about this. We'd go to the bar and you would tell me about your job, like what you did that day. I was like,
it's trippy.
What the fuck?
Went and got 25 temporary medical permits processed in Bangladesh and got visas for 25 medical professionals from the consulate of Venezuela. It was a really crazy job, man. The company's called Rotoplast International, small nonprofit in the Bay Area, in the Mission District. It was tight, man, super tight.
That was such a trip.
But yeah, so I was there and I was kind of like, okay, like, I want to switch things up a bit, and I like want to continue this international stuff because I love people, man.
Yeah,
I love people. I think they're like culture. And just the different kinds of interactions you can have are just probably the thing I like most about being alive.
That's what's up, dude. Fuck yeah. I'm so behind that.
Yeah. So if there's any way to kind of open that up and like allow me to connect with people all over the world, I wanted to do it. And I figured the best way for me to leverage that opportunity was to apply for a master's degree, because I did sociology in undergrad, and I was like, okay, what do I do with this? Yet again, I love people. Let's do something I love.
Yeah, of course.
Not going to get me like a big job or something, but hopefully I'll be happy. Hopefully I'll be happy.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So I did my master's. I got into London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, not even knowing what it was.
What we got? Say it again.
So the London School, the London School of I even got it wrong, man. The London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine.
Hygiene and tropical medicine.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
So basically, to not be politically correct, colonialism, man. People went all over the world from London. They came back with some crazy diseases, and they had to figure out what the hell was going on. Okay. And that's the origins of the school. So now
it's a med school.
So it's a public health institution, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
like I got into this one program called Public Health for Development. About half the people were doctors. The other half worked in like program management, which is what I was doing for the Rotoplast organization. And I was just kind of like, how does this whole thing work? Because the nonprofit I was in is like mom and pop boutique. They do a great job, but I'm like, I kind of like got me a bit hungry, and I wanted to learn a bit more. So I went there, felt it out. And it was a crazy cohort. There were people from all over the world.
And this is in London.
Yeah, this is in London. Yeah. I made London work. I actually got, yeah, man, it was great. I reached out to people actually I knew from Santa Cruz, my friend Tate, and he put me in touch with his friends there. I actually crashed at his mom's house.
What?
Yeah. For
Legit.
about a month, maybe 3 months. I don't know. By the end, she was like,
she's like, you gotta go.
You gotta go. And I was like, okay. I wrote this crazy. Actually, this is actually a kind of in hindsight. It's kind of mad. So over there, they got Gumtree, not Craigslist. And in San Francisco,
Gumtree?
Gumtree. It's like the same thing as Craigslist for trying to find housing, right?
Okay.
And I got real good at finding places in San Francisco. I basically stayed in only places under like $600 a month. So I got good at hustling, like the Craigslist flow, and like going in, chatting to people, like writing something that was like a little quirky and weird to be able to set myself apart. So I took that weirdness and I applied it to this like sterile London environment where people are like, can I be it kind of felt like sometimes, can I be can I be myself? Like where I struggled because I just kind of do shit, Mm-hmm. Like I feel people out, I interact, and like I leave it at that. But there's a degree of like, it felt like maybe it was in my head, but there's a social code.
Social code?
Yeah, like people are a little more buttoned up,
in London?
Yeah, a little more buttoned up, more like proper or whatever. But yes, I wrote this crazy Gumtree ad about how I was a 6'6" humanitarian skateboarding giraffe of a human. That was like my topic sentence, and sent it out. And like I found a fucking cheap ass housing next to a prison, a biking distance from the school, and that's in like central London, Zone 1, for like 450 rand a month with the fucking coolest roommates. I couldn't have asked for better.
Really?
Yeah. So like I like set my shit up proper.
Did they skate or?
No, they didn't. One guy was Atanas. He worked for the London Underground. Actually,
what is that?
So there's like the subway or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And his job was to ride that shit and look for graffiti, take pictures, and then write reports for it to be taken down or whatever, to be cleaned up. And at the same time, I was dating a graffiti artist from Croatia. So like they had this kind of thing where she was like, this guy, like I should get his keys so I can go in there. And she was like always scheming. And he was kind of like, maybe I should copy my keys for her. like kind of opening, like wanting to open up the space, but just knowing he couldn't. But yeah, no, it was super cool, man. It was a really.
Was it only just one dude?
Oh no. There was a bunch of people. They were absolutely great. Absolutely great.
What did they? I mean, how many other roommates did you have?
There were four.
Four?
And I was the fifth.
It's a big ass house, or?
Yeah, we all had a room, and then there was like a kitchen downstairs we could kick it at, and then we had like a little bit of a backyard. But it was in it wasn't in the nicest area. I think it was like council housing. It was like, and I don't know if you're allowed to say that. I think it's a bit stigmatized.
What's that?
Just like public housing. It's like public housing buildings. It's like low
projects?
cost.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
cool.
but everyone was fucking killing it, man. Everyone was killing it. My one coworker was teaching, like using drama as a way to provide mental health services to refugees. Like
drama?
Yeah, like using drama and using theater. Yeah, fucking so cool. And then the other roommate, who I like met her, she opened the door after I wrote this ad, and she like opened it like bubbly and happy, Sabrina. And I was like, I'm moving in here. Like she's just too fucking cool. I have to move in here. And she actually helped me in the UK because I got linked up with the Long Live South Bank people.
The Long Live what?
South Bank. So you know that skate space in London that Fred Gall does that shit in one of the, I think it was Mosaic, goes through tray flip, and there's like these guys brawling down there, whatever. So there was this whole
South Bank, isn't that like where the banks are, and then like that ledge that goes into the bank? Yeah.
So I got hooked up with those guys, and I ended up actually working for them. So I was working for them part-time doing like accountant shit, which I don't really know shit about being an accountant, but I knew how to do program management, so I could whip that together, and I was helping them with their online store. So I was working for them while I was doing my master's.
Whoa. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So you were legit involved in the skate community in London?
I would say that
or the skate scene, I should say.
The skate scene and the skate community there was really big. I would say that I met a real, like a nice, like everyone I met was super nice, man.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. I mean, like the other thing that was really cool is my friend Tate, whose mom's house I was staying at, all of his friends skated. So I like ended up like rolling up to fucking Supreme on day one, knocking on the door, and this guy, Sam, opening it and being like, welcome.
There's a Supreme in England? I didn't even know.
Yeah, in London. Yeah. It's a big one, like always packed, like lines around the corner. They just kind of looked at me and were like, what the fuck you doing here? And I was like, well, Sam is here. And like, they're like, oh, Sam, okay. And then they were chill. So it was pretty crazy, man. So I got linked in with them pretty well. And it was really interesting to watch the development of South Bank because they already had obtained the space because originally it was going to be taken away. They obtained the space, and those ballsy guys were like, you know what? The South Bank Center is a cultural institution, and they're the ones that are trying to take this space away from London. From the London skateboarders, the London graffiti artists, and it's an international space, man. Like people come from all over the world to skate there. And if you're in London, which is an international city,
you're fine. All good.
You're gonna go there if you skate, if you're into that shit. So they're like, fuck them. They're basically working against everything that they stand for, and we're gonna call them on it. So they called them out hard, super hard, and they were like, give us the rest of the space because basically only half of it people skated for a while, and there was this whole back half that it was just behind a wall. They were using it for storage and maintenance, and they went in there and they were able to basically work with the South Bank Center to open it up. And now the South Bank skate space is 2 times as large. There's like small banks. There's like I think there's a wall ride in the back. There's ledges, and I haven't been able to skate it because I moved to South Africa, but
well, yeah, you're gonna skim over that. Well, okay, so this how long was your stint in London?
1 year.
1 year. You did all this in a year.
Yeah.
And then, so what was the next thing after London? Like you moved to South Africa. How did that happen?
So there was a girl that I met on the first day. I mean, like supposedly it's one of the top public health schools in the world. This London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. It's
this
like
first day of school, you meet this chick.
Yeah. Like we actually had like a retreat and we got on a bus and we went somewhere as like a cohort and like
meet your fellow classmates.
Meet your classmates. These will be your friends for life.
Little mixer.
Exactly. We went to like some weird beach town. Oh, there's my sister. Beach town area, and basically we start chatting and everyone's like, "Oh, I worked for the World Health Organization. I want to do this," and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna be me." And I'm going to interact with people and have fun and try to just soak up as much knowledge as possible. And I sit down next to her. I was like, oh, yeah, she's pretty. And she told me that she was performing medical male circumcisions to get money to be able to travel to South America. And I was like,
wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So if you're circumcised, you're less likely to transmit HIV. So she was getting paid by the U.S. government, by PEPFAR, to provide circumcisions to adults. And she used that money to go travel in South America for like 5 months.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, she's probably just about out there as I am. And like we were friends the whole entire year. And like I loved her as a friend, like the entire, like from the second I met her, I loved her as a friend. And then towards the end of the year, she was like, hey, move to South Africa with me. And I was like, that sounds like a really, really good idea. Let's do this, man. I just got this, like, I learned all this stuff and I want to apply it. So yeah, let's go. So she told me that, she got a job in a place called Matuba.
That's in South Africa.
It's in rural KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Yeah. Yeah. So I like looked it up on a map and I was just kind of like, it's kind of funny. Like, okay, like I did marching band in high school, tuba. All right, whatever. Let's do this. Like, let's go for it. I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity. She's cool.
What the fuck? What does the tuba have to do with anything?
I don't know, man. Like, you know how you hear things and like, okay, you heard me earlier with all these tangents, right? Yeah. You come right back. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. You know?
You're tripping. You're so funny.
Anya, can she sit down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anya, can you join?
Yeah, you come chill right over here.
Yeah. For people listening, my sister just came in.
Right over there. Yeah. Perfect. Uh-oh. No worries. You're all good. Go ahead.
One of the downsides of being on the other side of the world and bouncing around as much as I have recently is that I don't get to be with my family.
Yeah.
So it's a fucking, and see homies, but family, I mean, it's a fucking absolute pleasure to be around my sister and my mom and dad for the last couple of days.
Yeah, dude, that's what's up. I mean, you're going back on Saturday, so you get to get all your family time in right now.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's what's up. So you, Matuba.
Yeah, I went in knowing nothing.
Knowing nothing. So
knowing absolutely nothing.
You've only known this girl for a year.
I knew her for a year as a friend, and then we started dating maybe 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before you moved. To, okay.
Rural Matuba, South Africa, moving in together.
Whoa.
It was a pretty quick. It was pretty quick, man. But like, it was fun. I wouldn't do it any other way.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it any other way. Yeah, she's great. And I think that it was a fucking crazy experience. I mean, like the place where we're staying is right on the Indian Ocean. So it was absolutely beautiful. I had never really been in any rural area. Like I went from San Francisco to London, and now I'm in Matuba, where there really aren't that many paved roads. And if there are paved roads, there's massive trucks flying down them. I didn't have a car, so I had to learn how to. I learned how to drive a manual car, which was a struggle. In this like small little town where basically there's like one intersection, 4 stop signs, and there is nothing outside of this space. But in it, you couldn't fit any more bodies. It's like an anthill. Like at the mouth of the anthill, there's like tons and tons of ants. But as you like spread out, there's like nothing around there. And it was like the most hectic place to learn to drive the car because no one followed the rules. It's like this whole ebb and flow thing where like, it's like it's like if you push hard enough, you make your way through. You just have to have like a constant and direct flow, and then you get your way through. But it was difficult for me, man, driving out there, and even just trying to like get acclimated.
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
That sounds super hectic.
Yeah, it was especially difficult because we were living with people at the research institute, so it was like same people during the day in the compound. And like yet again, it's one of those things where you want to show a certain side of yourself. I guess I don't really know much about that.
What do you mean? Like
okay,
mean,
I'm going to be professional. I am an international researcher. Like having that shit, and they're like people flying in from Harvard and people flying in from the University College London, and you're just sitting there and you're just kind of chopping it up with them, talking about the research, and I'm just sitting there scratching my head, being like, what the hell is this person saying? Just trying to like figure it out. But sometimes people are scared to ask questions.
Oh yeah.
Especially in that environment. And I did. So I think that I learned a lot from it, but it was definitely a bit much. So we left there. We left that place, and we were trying to find our own like house to rent or whatever, and
but why Matuba? Like just her job?
Oh, yeah. So she got a job offer there. Doing TB research, and the other reason why is
tuberculosis?
Because tuberculosis research, and Matuba, in this specific area of rural KwaZulu-Natal, has one of the highest HIV prevalences. It's kind of the heart of it's the epicenter of the HIV epidemic in South Africa.
Whoa.
I can't exactly remember the prevalence, and I'm ashamed of myself that I don't, but I'm pretty sure it was definitely over 30% of people. It might have been 60. It was very, very, very high. And it was very high. I mean, now there are ARVs and people can get their medicines, but it's still, there's a lot of social and structural issues that kind of lead to people not being able to continue on their medication. And the public health system in South Africa is quite difficult. But it's been really cool. I mean, working within that space. It's been really cool working within that space. But moving to a new place, like I said, finding my way in London, finding my way in San Francisco, I tried to use the same kind of like hustle that I did there to find my way in Matuba. It didn't work.
Yeah. Dude, you don't even have like anywhere to go. It sounds hectic.
It was hectic. I actually had to, it's a very conservative place.
Conservative.
Very conservative in both a traditional Zulu way and also traditional Christian way, because I think that
whoa.
Yeah, I mean it's Zululand. Like
what does that mean?
Oh, man, that's a good question. It's just like where like the Zulu tribal people live, and like they conquered
Sick.
like a whole bunch of the southern portion of the African continent, and a lot of them reside there. They had this whole thing, actually. The last colonial outpost of the British was in Natal, and that is essentially the province that I was in. And there was this like epic battle between the Zulu warriors and the British. And the claim to fame is that the Zulus actually beat the British, and they had this like short stabbing spear, this guy King Shaka, and they defeated the British, and they're one of the only to do it. So it's pretty epic. So that's why it's called KwaZulu-Natal, because it's a combination of those spaces. But the people from Natal are old. Their family came from the UK, and they did sugar caning. So they're sugarcane farmers. So eventually, after a couple odd experiences, we found a place with a sugarcane farmer. Before that, I met some lady named Benny, super cool lady. She makes her own what's that stuff called, kombucha. And she had like the most beautiful garden, super cool. She was from Zimbabwe, and she's like, "Okay, Daniel, Sophia, like, let's find you a house." And I was like, "Yes, thank you."
This is your girlfriend, the one you moved there with? Her
yeah,
name,
Sophia.
Sophia.
Sophia. Safiyya.
Whoa! One more. Say it again.
Safiyya.
Sophia.
Yeah, it's a Muslim name.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Muslim name. I think it's one of Muhammad's wives or something. I don't know. I'm not very good at this stuff. But yeah, so I talked to this lady, Benny, and Benny's like, "Okay, cool. We got a house for you." And she takes us to this house, and like we were like looking around, and it is the most beautiful garden, like just so well put together, and like all these plants and all these fruits. And we go in the house and it looks like someone's living there. And we found out that someone had passed away there like 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And the tradition there is that you don't move people's stuff. So they wanted us to move into this house with all this dead lady stuff around. And it would have been cheap, and it was like the perfect spot for like work and like everything. But it was like a very funky environment. And she didn't tell us that someone died there before we showed up. And like fresh died, like still got the milk in the fridge type shit, you know?
Like just got some new milk.
Exactly. Like leftovers there from 2 days ago. Maybe that's what killed her. I don't know. We didn't try them.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so we went in there, and then we decided, okay, let's just do this. Like, let's just move into this place. Like, it's going to be weird, but it's cheap. And we've been struggling to find something. We have to get out of this research institute. So we meet the family, like her children or whatever. And, we show up, and her son is just passed out, wasted in the bed. That she
in the house?
Yeah, in the house, that she died from, like, so wasted to the point where he like can't get up and come and talk to us. And we're just kind of like, okay, they want us to start paying now. They're not going to move anything out. This is just shady. And the only reason why they wanted us to move in is so we could watch the house, because they didn't want to leave the house open because they were scared that people were going to steal shit from it.
Yeah.
So it was like a real weird situation. But after that weird situation, moving into the dead lady's house, Benny pointed us in the direction of the Wisemans.
The Wisemans.
The Wisemans.
Is that the last name, or?
Yeah, it's their last name. Yep.
Okay.
They were from the like 3 generations back or 4 generations back from the UK, but they were all sugarcane farmers, like pops, grandpops, all of them. And we stayed in their cottage, and it was a kind of funky space. I had to study for my exams for my master's, so I just like locked myself up in the sugarcane cottage and studied and lost my mind. Yeah.
Dude.
For a year. Full year. Like no paved roads. Yeah, it was quite hectic.
How are you doing your master's? There's a school out there, or like?
No, I studied on my own.
Just
studied on my own, yeah.
Like online?
No. So I completed all coursework, and then I had to take the exam later on, yeah. So I took the exam later on, and I studied, lost my mind, and then they let me take the exam in Durban rather than in London. And the first time I took the exam in London, it was like a very, very stressful, authoritarian environment where like, it was honestly, I was kind of tripping out, yet again, tangents, because that's the way my brain works.
What is the test for?
It was for my master's.
But like for what subject?
Public health for development. So
okay.
Epidemiology. Yeah. So it's like studying of the distribution of disease in the community.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because
that's what that means?
Yeah, essentially.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they do.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was for that. So like I'm sitting in this hall, like my brain's like on this weird tangent, like I'm in Harry Potter, because it's like British and shit, I don't know. And it's like 500 people in this room, and like these old, like kind of, I don't want to be mean, but haggard, like people walking around, like sniffing through your papers, like making sure you're not cheating, that you don't have any notes written on your desk or anything like that. I'm just like looking around, just being like, this is too much. And I suck at spelling, and it was like a handwritten booklet. So like everything that could be like tripping me out in that environment tripped me out, and I like.
That's a legit thought you had. I suck at spelling.
Yeah, for sure, man. Honestly, I signed up for this school. I applied. I looked up what the examination would be.
Yeah.
They told me it would be in a blue book where you got to write stuff, and I tripped out immediately that I heard that. I was like, this is not going to be good for me. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So you're studying in this. You're studying in this place for a year. To do this test that you have to write in.
And I was already like tripping. So I okay, push comes to shove, I fucking bombed it, man. I did so bad. And I knew this stuff, and I like don't like, it's a top school, man. It's a very good school.
Yeah.
And the people that are there were very, I mean, the acceptance rate is extremely low, and I really don't fail things often. So it was one of those things where I was mortified. So I had to basically study for everything again in a cottage in Matubatuba, a sugarcane farmer, the Wiseman sugarcane cottage in Matubatuba by myself and with my girlfriend for a year. So I just like sat in this cottage, made note cards, and I couldn't skateboard, and that's like what I love. I love skateboarders, and I love skateboarding. So it's one of those things where I didn't have my outlet. So what I did is I ran.
Run?
Yeah, I would run. So I would like make I'd make note cards. It sounds crazy now. So I'd make note cards with like all the shit that I needed to memorize with them, and I'd go for runs and I'd read the note cards and try to train myself to remember it while running, because I figured if I can remember the shit when I'm running out of breath, I will remember it at a test. And it was actually quite cool, man. Like,
it's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like it. I think it's legit for sure.
You sit in a cottage for a long enough time, you'll think of some weird shit and you'll probably do it. Like, for instance, I'll give you the last one. They had land, the Wisemans had land that that you couldn't grow sugarcane on. So they were like, oh, this is South Africa. Like, what do we do? They just bought a bunch of fucking giraffes.
Giraffes?
They bought a bunch of giraffes. They bought a bunch of wildebeest, zebra, nyala, all these different animals.
Nyala?
Nyala. Yeah.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
It's like my girlfriend's brother's a game ranger. And he used to like be like, oh, you're an idiot. But it's like, just say it's like a hairy zebra. It's like a hairier zebra.
A hairier zebra?
Yeah, but it's like gray and I don't know.
Like a donkey?
Donkeys are like horses. This is more like, I guess zebras are like horses too.
It's got stripes or black with white stripes or white
yeah,
with black
no,
stripes.
okay. It's got, well, zebras do, but this thing was like gray with white stripes.
Gray with white.
Yeah, but they're pretty, man. They got horns, whatever.
Oh, they have horns.
Yeah, and the wildebeests look hectic, man. They got big horns and they're pack animals. So like
wildebeest,
wildebeest. To be perfectly honest,
gefilte fish.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Back to Jewish roots. That's everything. There were no Jews out there, man. I was just like, oh, what do we do out here,
dude?
Join a church? No. No, I'm just kidding. I thought about it actually. I think it could have been good to have a community. Plus,
go back to the beast. Go back to the beast.
Okay, the wildebeest. Okay, yeah. Tangent. So basically we move into the spot, and they tell us that they have their own private game park, which is a safari park. And
so they built a safari park.
Yeah, they had this extra land, so like, well, let's just get some animals. So like what I would do is when I was studying, I wasn't like running along the road. I was running through like bushes with giraffe and wildebeest. And I also had a mountain bike, so I'd go mountain biking through there.
Bro, did you just roll up to a giraffe, be like, hey?
Yeah.
Me and you were the same.
And like, you know what I was saying? So I started this off with like this crazy gum tree thing that I wrote about how I'm like
the skateboarding giraffe.
Yeah. And then here I am like running through the bush with giraffes and just like
6'7" right here talking to a fucking hella tall ass giraffe.
They are the best animals.
Dude, really?
Yeah. So
you ever just roll up on a giraffe and pet it?
No, you can't get that close because they'll kill you.
They'll fuck you.
Yeah, like they're hard headed, so they just like slam you with their necks. Like they basically like bend down and use their heads, and they hit you in your head with their head, and who's got a harder head, you or a giraffe does, so you're done
every time. Yeah.
So it was that, and then I played trumpet growing up, and I was like, okay, how do I like pass time and be creative in this like rural area with nothing? So I brought my trumpet. So I would like go out there with like my note cards again. I would bring a hammock. I'd put that shit up in a tree, and I would like sit, study, play trumpet, study, play trumpet. And the crazy thing is, the giraffes, they respond when there's anything unusual. So if you go up to a giraffe and you just like move your body in a very strange way, like say you take an interpretive dancer.
Yeah.
And you bring them over there and like they just like go squirm around and shit. Giraffes will just stare at them. I was there playing trumpet terribly. Maybe okay. And they would come and look at me. Like at some points it'd be like 9, 10, 11 giraffes just like peering over the bushes all awkwardly, be like, what's going on? You know?
What's up, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. Like what? And by the way, like, why the hell are you in a tree playing the trumpet? Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Were you like eye level with them?
A little bit lower, yeah. A little bit lower. But it was a very odd experience. Yeah, it was very odd to play the trumpet and then have giraffes come.
Do you have photos of all this?
I got a video.
Whoa.
I'll show it to you.
After this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I got a video. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, what the fuck? Okay, so you spent a year doing this, just hanging out with giraffes, playing trumpet, studying. And then you take it in, where was this?
So I had to take the exam again, and
in Dunbar?
In Durban.
Durban, sorry.
Yeah, in Durban. No, it's all
Where's
good.
That?
And so essentially there are 3 major cities in South Africa. There's Johannesburg, which is where I'm staying now. There's Cape Town, which most people have heard of. Mm-hmm. And then there's Durban. And because of the history with colonialism and sugarcane farming, British people came. and they brought Indians from India to help with the sugarcane farming. So it's got a very large Indian community. It's a blossoming city on the edge of the Indian Ocean. Beautiful surfing. And there's also like a pretty nice skate community there as well.
Sick.
Lots of talent. So we were about 3.5 hours outside of that towards Mozambique, where there's really not much. So we would escape and go to Durban quite frequently. And that's also where I had to take my exam. So I took my exam remotely, and it was completely different from that Harry Potter vibe, anxiety session that I had the first time, where like there were 500 people, pick up your pencil now and start, put your pencil down. If you move it, you're taking your test away, like that kind of stuff, like really strict. And I rolled up to the exam in Durban, and like, just like old, like Indian auntie who's just like the most loving, kind person, is like, okay, we're going to do this. It's going to be like this, da 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 da. And, it was just much more laid back. I actually got, diagnosed with dyslexia. So the spelling thing is real, man.
Whoa.
So yeah, I got diagnosed
makes a lot of sense
with dyslexia, and the tangents, probably, I don't know if that ties in. Yeah, that would be mental illness, I think. But no, it doesn't. But yeah, so I got diagnosed with dyslexia. I got extra time. I got to use a computer, and I was in a much more friendly environment, and I did very well.
Sick.
So I ended up, after saving up money while I was living in San Francisco, living with like hoarders. I lived with a hoarder for a year in like an abusive environment, and
abusive environment with you?
Yeah, man, she was horrific.
What, she like hit you?
Well,
we got hold on.
I would say that was like emotionally abusive, and like
emotionally abusive.
Yeah, not like she would like hurt us, but like she was like just like she served us fake eviction notices, like things like that. She lived. So it was one of those situations where it was a flat. She locked one of the doors in the middle of the flat. She lived in the back half. We lived in the front half. She rented out 2 of the 5 rooms in this hallway. We didn't have a kitchen.
Yeah, well, that's San Francisco for you right there.
Yeah, but she would come over and take passive aggressive shits. Like she would use our toilet, shit, and not flush. And like whatever she could do to just get under our skin to try to get us out, she would do. Like it was horrific.
That is.
She was mad. Like I'm telling you, man, she was like mad. If
passive aggressive shits. I've never.
But is that abusive? I mean,
that's pretty. I don't think that's abusive is the right term for that, because that's so PC. It's like, yo, she was fucked. She's pissed. Like, yo, she was trying to be like, she was being a little punk. That's it. All it is. Like, it's passive aggressive. Like,
well, she was taking passive aggressive shits, man. Like she had her own toilet. Like she was mad.
She was dick. She was being a dick.
She was. But she was. I feel bad for her because she, I think she had a sad life.
Dude, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh, but that was
no. Hey man, I'm telling. So I worked my ass off, saved money, put myself through my master's, just to fail the test at the end of the year.
But Durban, but like what?
No. The first time in London, then I had to retake it in Durban. After a year of studying and interesting experiences in Zululand. Yeah, our car got charged by a rhino. That was crazy.
But like, so you passed the test.
Yeah, after a year later. So now I have a degree. I've got my master's, and I'm working as an epidemiologist in Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And this is you said one of the 3 major cities out there.
Yeah, it's the biggest, and I would say it's the most influential. And Cape Townians would argue, but I would most certainly say it's the most influential. I mean, and integrated. Because South Africa's history is hectic.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I mean, what's it like on give me an average day in Johannesburg.
It depends who you are and where you are, to be perfectly honest. I mean, like, because there's a massive Gini coefficient, and the Gini coefficient is a unit of measurement to describe the gap between the rich and the poor, and it's one of the largest in the world. So you have people driving past informal settlements where people build their own houses with like sheets of metal in fucking Porsches. Like it's in some ways it's absolutely ludicrous. The richest square mile on the entire continent of Africa is right next to Johannesburg in Sandton. And
Sandton?
Yeah, Sandton. And it's just one of those things where there's so much wealth and there's so much poverty. And the history of Johannesburg as a space especially is quite crazy, because usually like people rolled up to the United States, the colonial powers rolled up to the United States and like, oh, look, there's a river here. We can like build the city right here. Like New York, think about it. It's like it's got waterways so you can basically get inland. It's a strategic point. Johannesburg has nothing strategic about it. It's literally, before the city, there was nothing there. And the only reason why it exists is because of gold. Mm-hmm. Most of the gold, so much gold came out of Johannesburg, diamonds, platinum, titanium, like
it's rich in
minerals.
Natural resources.
Minerals and metals and stuff. Yeah, so it's really rich, and that's what brought everyone there. But there's not as much gold now, and there's a bunch of issues because of the mining. And I would say that also structured the social environment in a certain way, where you had apartheid, which is where like there's no mixing, white area only, Indian area only, black area only, and they had Bantu schools, Bantu education for people that were in colored spaces. And
that's what Bantu means?
I don't know. It was basically a term where they had education that didn't allow people to progress. It was like, let's keep the status quo. Like people with money, people with access to education, aka white people, stay on top. And basically what we need as white people is cheap labor, cheap dispensable labor, which is gross. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's limit knowledge. So like there's a whole, there's a not, I mean, I would say that there's a bit of a knowledge gap there, especially with the older generation. I mean, people that I've met there are brilliant. And I'm not saying that people aren't as smart. What I'm saying is that there are different ways of thinking, and I think that the way that was introduced and the way that we use we think differently. We use our words differently. Like the contextual way to go about communicating with people is very different.
You're talking about like Americans and
stuff?
Yeah,
and English.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I think that just many different systems, and the one that won was the one that had the money, and I would say that's both British, because I mean they speak English there. That's one language out of I think like the 11
languages there.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, because there's so many different tribes. So it's a very complex social space. But I think that Johannesburg is at the heart of all of it. I think that it is an absolutely crazy city, and I think that because of the 11 languages and the massive class difference, people like to. It seems as a foreigner that people like to stick to their own in an odd way. So like, and everyone has their own community, you know? And in everyone's community, in everyone's little bubble, people got gems. Like people don't just hang out all day and like do boring stuff. People have places that they go. There are all these like interesting, fascinating places that certain people have access to and other people don't know about. Mm-hmm. So the more people you know, the more communities you meet, you really get this crazy experience of a city that exists on so many different strata.
Like, or just everything, it's different for every single person.
Yeah, so it's like, what is your experience? Like, what is a day in the life like? And it's like, well, they're the guys that collect recycling on these like handmade carts, and they're pushing down hills and pushing around the city like they're skateboarding, but it's just filled with trash. And they're the people that are sitting in their car, driving to work in their Porsche, going to work at a major insurance company, you know, or a bank. So like you have this massive like difference. Yeah, like life, that there's so much juxtaposition. And it's very unique in that sense, I would say. Yeah. Trying sometimes, most certainly, but unique. And I think that skateboarding there is beautiful. And I'm saying that because, yeah, like I think that I took it for granted, and I take it for granted still, but it is so much more than just, I mean, it is a toy, but it's so much more because of the way that it's used as a social utensil, if that makes sense. So,
well, yeah, it's international, man. Skateboarding transcends boundaries, international boundaries, language boundaries.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
But it even transcended the boundaries of apartheid. So this is a like government enforced segregation, white spaces, Indian spaces, black spaces. And I met this guy named Poe. He's been skating. He's 40 now, and he skates, and he can do like blunt kickflips, kickflip out in tranny, and like he best back heels maybe.
What? Don't even try to
better,
throw me out.
Connor. Yours is better.
Yeah.
And he skates all over the city with boards on his back, and he hustles them in the street.
Oh, for sale?
Yeah.
Sick.
And that's like the main skate shop. And this is in the central business district. So like during apartheid, there was like a central business district where all the diamond companies were, the gold companies were, basically all the mining exists. That's where all the money was and the structures that were put in place because of the money. And it was a white area. So him as a kid used to go there because, I mean, like pristine city. Because they had so much money, like they made such a gorgeous city, marble everywhere. Like he said, it was one of the best places to skate, and he got to use. He had access to that space as an Indian, because he was skateboarding. It's like it transcended the boundaries, and I think that's such a crazy thing because I can't think of many other stories like that.
What if he didn't have a skateboard though? They would have been like, no, you got to go. But because he's skateboarding, they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure he said that, like, and that was also his way of integrating across these racial boundaries as well, because he had a whole bunch of Afrikaans, white skateboard friends as well.
Afrikaans?
Yeah, so that's like,
dude, I'm literally learning so much from you right now. I've never heard some of these things.
So the Afrikaans, oh man, it's kind of a difficult one. So I guess that they were originally Dutch colonists. They came over, but they stayed on the continent after the Dutch left. And they were there long enough to basically become African, if that makes sense. Like they go back
generations.
Yeah, generations. Like they've been there. They've put in their time, and they speak a dialect that's somewhat like Dutch, but it's a little bit more, from what I've heard, a little bit more simple or basic. But it's one of the most emotional languages and simple languages that I've ever heard. Just like the passion, the way that people talk. It's funny. But so they were at one point like the ruling power there.
Are they like white? Or?
Yeah, very. They actually there's just like when I picture like an Afrikaans person, they got like some short khaki shorts, but they're like big. They're big people, man. They got some short khaki shorts and. I don't know. They're funny, man. I'm not doing a good job describing this at all, but look it up, man.
All right.
Look it up.
Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, dude. What the fuck? It's a whole nother world out there.
But you know what's crazy? It's kind of the same.
Yeah,
like I think that, and this might be a stretch, but I went to school in Delaware. I went to a public school that had busing. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of the kids from the inner city were bused out to the suburb that I grew up in, or that we grew up in, me and my sister. And the kids in the suburb were all white. The kids who were getting bused in were all black. And you could go to the cafeteria and you could draw a line down the middle of it. Mm. And I just remember like sitting in the middle with like the albino black kid that I ran track with, and just being like, what the fuck's going on, man? This is weird. And all the skate homies too, man. The skate homies, like, yet again, skateboard as a way to like integrate and mix and like get to know each other, you know?
Yeah, on the real.
Yeah.
Real, yeah.
So that was great. So it actually, when I first rolled up, like Johannesburg, before going to Matuba, sky high walls with electric fences on the top, just being like, what the fuck's going on? And then I was like, oh, with time. It's odd that people are just separate. But if you look at their history, they've been doing a really good job of reintegrating, especially when there was so much like violence and stuff. There's a lady I work with now named Sister P. She was a nurse.
Sister P?
Yeah, nurses there are called sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And
she's like, if that's her actual name,
no,
it'd be like badass.
She is badass. Like,
that's Sister P over there. Don't even front.
She's a grandma. She got 5 kids. She worked in a hospital. She was talking to me about like neurosurgery and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, you're crazy. But she was also telling me that during apartheid, she was in a township, which is like, I guess like they forcefully removed people in different areas and put people in townships. And one of them, the largest one in Johannesburg, is Soweto. So she grew up in Soweto, and she remembers that during the transition, there were a lot of people that were working. People were scared that people in Soweto, like black people, were working with the white government. So what they would do is they would take tires and put them around their neck and burn them in public. And they call it necklacing. and she was talking to me about like, oh yeah, I would like be running around as like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old. I like see this and I just run the other way. And I was like, how many times did you see this? And she's like,
all the time.
Pretty heavy, yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, pretty heavy.
Necklace scene.
Yeah, and it's still kind of hectic there, man. Like my girlfriend works at one of the largest hospitals on the entire continent, Baragwanath Hospital, and she said that like she's some crazy shit, some absolutely crazy shit. In fact, Germany sends their army medics to that hospital to train because there's so much trauma, so like shootings and stabbings.
Really?
Yeah. It's pretty hectic, but at the same time. Like,
so it's dangerous to live there.
And and that's the thing. It's like people say, oh yeah, Johannesburg, like, hey, it's really dangerous. It's bad. In fact, when I first moved there, one of my girlfriend's friends was like, have you gotten robbed yet? And every single time I see this guy now, he says, Daniel, have you gotten robbed? Have you gotten robbed? I've been there in South Africa for 2 years and I haven't gotten robbed yet, knocking on wood. But yeah, that shit happens. It happens. But I also think that like, you got to have your wits about you, you know?
Yeah, don't be stupid.
Yeah, like don't have your phone out.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, my friend told me that when she was in Brazil, she was at a fucking party and she was standing out. Nobody else had their phones out, and then she was standing there. She went on her phone. Somebody just rode by, grabbed it right out of her hand, and took off.
I mean, there's so many stories like that. It's crazy. There's a guy, one of my, probably like the best friend I made in San Francisco was this guy from Japan named Takuro Takeshita. Fucking coolest guy ever. And he like went on this trip. He went to Brazil and he was like a little nervous about it because like, oh man, like I don't really speak my English. Like he came there to learn English. Like I met him not knowing
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he went to Brazil. He came back and he had a black eye. And I was like, oh damn, man. He like probably got the shit beaten out of him, robbed. And he was like, no. So I came back to San Francisco. I was like, got off the BART, was walking to my place, and these fucking guys, he got so angry. And he said that like 3 people ran up on him, and they tried to grab his camera, and his camera had all of the images from his trip. And they punched him in the face. And he said he like screamed like a wild animal, like just like crazy. And if you saw this guy,
like super primal type shit.
Yeah. Like how do you express yourself if your English isn't great? You're just gonna and like you are holding on to like your memories. You know,
yeah.
This is some real shit.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, when is he gonna go to Brazil again? Like you can't relive this time period. No, like it's done. And like this is the only thing. So he's holding on this camera, just wailing like a crazy man. And they left him, and he kept the camera, you know.
Thank God. But he got punched in the face
in San Francisco.
Yeah, dude. Well, I've been in some sketchy situations in the Bay, bro. Like, dude, over by Civic Center, there was this fucking asshole. Straight up, I'm not even gonna front, dude. I eyed this fool down hella hard. Like, I've never wanted to fight like a junkie, just POS on the side of the street over there, like by that bar station. This fool had a fucking face tat. Super hard on his face. It went all the way from his.
Was it completely black?
It was, but it like split. It like would be here, and there's a gap, and I'm pretty sure you remember the dude. He was there every day, bro, for years. One day, I saw him all the time. One day I was coming back down from Polk where the cafe was, and I'm getting on BART. And I think I had just smoked a J or something like that. So I'm just like kind of cruising. And then like, I'm just like looking around, and then I like lock eyes with this fool, and he's like beating the shit out of his dog, just like beating his dog for no reason. And I was just looking at him. I'm like, hey, and he just like looked up and he stopped and he just stared at me. And I was like, man, fuck this fool. Like, are you serious? Like he was just beating the shit out of this dog. I'm like, dude, this dog already has a hard enough life that he has to sit with your ass. Like the fuck, dude, chill. Like chill. I'm not going to back down from that dude. Like no way. And I just remember him like eyeing me out the whole way. And I was just staring at him on the escalator. And then I get on the escalator. I'm just going down hell of like eyeing this fool. Like, every time after I seen him, I try to look at him too. It's like, hey, fool, I see you. Like,
and I really hope that he never abuse a dog again in his life. Your face popped up in his head every single time he's around a dog. He's like, oh, Kano's going to come. You better be careful. Better be careful.
No, that guy was a dick, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Bay Area was just like, I don't know, man. Bart, Rick, this craziest shit on Bart all the time over there. So it totally makes sense, especially if like if they tell you're a foreigner, like, oh, dude, or you're out of town tourist. Sorry, not foreigner.
Yeah.
Tourist. They're just no bueno.
Yeah, no. It's not good. But at the same time, that doesn't deter you from wanting to go there or interacting with the space or seeing value in it. And I feel like to take things back to Johannesburg, people like actively avoid it. And I think that's sad, first of all, because there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of history. Yeah. There's a lot of culture. There are people from all over the entire continent that come there for work. And I think that in some ways it's good because it keeps it small. It keeps those gems secret. And it's one of those things where, like, if you don't want to be there, get out. Yeah. So it's got a certain rawness to it. And I would say that if you think about cities like Baltimore's like that, certain parts of Washington, D.C., Philadelphia's like that as well, where you're like a little bit on edge, and the people that are there, they're fighting for it. Yeah. And you got a degree of respect for them, and you're in the same struggle, and you appreciate them for it. So I think it's a cool spot, to say the least, for now. Yeah, for now.
Yeah. So I mean, how long have you been there now?
So we left Matuba, and went on an epic road trip, like down the entire coast. Almost drove to Cape Town, which is quite far. Saw some. Hey man, there's some beautiful places, like untouched, unspoiled beaches. Like there's a place that we drove to, and we found like 5 waterfalls that all fell into each other, and like a baboon cave where baboons would live. And we were actually kind of scared because the water wasn't completely clear, but like we went swimming and like swam under a waterfall, like swam into a waterfall. The volume of the water coming down.
It's pressure.
Yeah, it's actually kind of creepy, to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, I'm never swimming under a waterfall again. No, I'll just sneak around the back, because it pushes you down a bit. But yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But so yes, now we're back in Johannesburg. We had like a period where we were staying with her mom and dad for, I think it is 5 months.
So she's from out there.
Yeah, she was born and raised in Johannesburg. So I think we stayed with her parents for like 5 months, which was like, damn. Oh yeah, this is my boyfriend. We're moving in. But her parents are cool, and so are the rest of her family. So yeah, sick. But it was still weird, like trying to find my way and living in your parents, like
the new in-laws, kind of, but not in-laws.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
It's a bit funky.
What are you guys just planning on staying there? Are you trying to come back to the States? Are you trying to jump to another country?
We'll figure it out. I think that it's more so about what she needs to do for her career if she wants to specialize, because she's a doctor, and where she can do that, and what opens up opportunity and happiness to her. And I think that that's going to be one of the guiding factors. The other thing is proximity to family for both of us, because I think that it's quite difficult, because literally LA, where my parents are now, and my sister's in San Diego, but it's the other side of the world. Like if you look on the other side of the world from LA, it's Madagascar. Madagascar was like, I don't know, maybe like a half an hour flight if I could have flown from Matuba if they had an airport.
That's how close it is to Madagascar, dude.
I mean, I think it's just like a little. I mean, I don't know exactly, but it's close. It's close. Like that is the closest part of South Africa to Madagascar, and that's the only thing that it's really next to. So, I was very far away, 9-hour time difference.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So it's quite intense. But I think that life is a hectic one, man. Like as we were talking about earlier. You kind of got to like throw yourself into it. You don't know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And you have to really value and cherish the times that you have. And you have to make sure that you go in a direction that you value and move in a place that you want to be in as well. And I think that when you're in a relationship as well, everything is opportunity cost, like you could do this, but it's the cost of this, And I think that for now, we'll just feel it out and see where I can move forward with my career, where she can move forward with her career, where we can both be there for our families and our friends, because that's what life's about, right?
I mean, hell yeah, son. I'm all about that.
Yeah, and you do a good job, man.
Dude, I mean, I try. I'm not
running marathons with your pops, man.
Dude, well, I mean,
your abuela.
Dude, my abuela, she's chilling. I'm actually gonna see them this coming weekend, but
nice, man.
I mean, dude, honestly, you're in South Africa doing epidemiology.
Yeah.
all I do is coffee, bro. That's not even the same thing, bro. It's not even the same thing. Like, you're fucking crushing. I wish I could just like hop around the fucking, like, you remember that where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? That's like, should be, where is Daniel DeSanto? For real.
I don't know, man. You just go. I think that, you just kind of got to go with like.
Well, no, I fuck with that, but the thing is that I lived in France. I've visited some other countries, but nothing of that caliber of like living, just moving and going and doing that thing. But the one thing I can definitely relate to, I think, was what you said is about being happy and like be where you want to be. And for me, the only other place besides San Diego would probably be Barcelona, which is, there's still a long life. So yeah, definitely be over there. But fuck, man, I don't know. San Diego is just so chill. This is so my vibe. Yeah. So that so I can relate on that vibe where this is what makes me happy. Like super gnarly. I don't give a fuck about
Matuba.
I mean, not even. Dude, I'll go to Matuba.
I don't know if I do.
I want to go hang out with the fucking giraffes.
Yeah, bring the trumpet.
Dude, I'll
call them.
Little harmonica or something. They'd be like down. Like, yeah, son. No, but in all honesty, I don't think what I'm doing is nearly as cool as what you're doing, but it's just a different hustle. I mean, I listen to you talk about what you've been doing now and like the stories that you've had to get there and the things that you have gone through. Dude, that itself, it puts you in a category of like a survivor. Number one, you're like, you get thrown into these culturally different places that are speaking 11 different languages, doing all these crazy things, and you somehow navigate and find your way, and it's led you around the world. I mean, I don't think it would be crazy to assume that you're probably going to end up somewhere else before that, like the next couple of years.
I don't know.
Or maybe just stay in Johannesburg and just like kick it out there.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Dude. But I think that there's so many different ways to go about life. And I think that the one of the most meaningful jobs I would say that I had, and meaning is completely self-derived. You know what I mean? Like it is something that like,
well, what means it to what means something
I think that
to
it's
you
just interaction with people.
Yeah,
It's just like, but to go back to square one, it's just interaction with people. And I hated this job. I hated it. But if I think about what job I had where I crossed the paths with as many people as possible, maybe my conversations weren't particularly engaging. But I think that I still had like a positive impact. It was where I met Hodge. Panera Bread, man. And I hated Panera Bread. But if you think about the volume of people that would come by past your cash register and you get to throw them a smile, I think that like right now I'm working in at the National Institute of Communicable Disease in Johannesburg as a contractor. And I like see the same people every day. I really appreciate them and I like them, but it's not the same kind of like get out there and like you're a part of it, like there we're just kind of sitting at our desks, we're doing things on the computer. And it's not the same thing as like really bringing something to the table to new people every single day, and I think that there's something really special about that. And I hope that I can get back into a space where I can do that. Because I think that that's where I get my energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, so being in, you keep saying there's so much, essentially just segregation. As somebody who, I mean, I'm assuming you're not skating all the time in Johannesburg. No.
I wish, but no.
So since you can't cross those lines, those boundaries in a sense, how do you interact coming from the United States where, especially on the East Coast where there's segregation from what you were saying, but you come out, you've been to the West Coast, you like here, dude, everybody fucks everybody for the most part. Everybody just kind of intermingles. And that's how you live. But then now you're in a very segregated place. How do you function within communities?
It's crazy. I'm from the United States. I'm like not particularly wrapped up in their shit.
Yeah.
And I would say that I have a special way about me where I just kind of float through and I enjoy the people's company that I'm with.
You think maybe being as tall as you are,
I think
like it helps.
I think that helps. I think body language. And I also think that like you can be quite disarming. I mean, like it's easy to be disarming. And South Africans, man, for the most part, they're so nice. Like
chilling.
Like they're so nice. Like I'm actually, one of my concerns is that people there are like so friendly and kind and laid back that I feel like I can get away with murder in a weird way, in the sense that like I can just say whatever the hell I want, which I shouldn't. But I okay, for instance, I've gotten to the point of playfulness where I've been on it, where basically I was boarding a flight, and I told the lady that was like at the desk, like, you need to have another ticket if you're going to fly into South Africa because you need to leave because of your visa. And I was like, oh yeah, I have one. I just like flat out lied to her. Like in the US, you can't do this stuff, man. Like you can't do this. You get caught up and like you can get in a lot of trouble. But yeah, I just like flat out lied to her, and then I told her I lied to her, and then we joked about it. It was like, what the hell is going on? Like, there's just such like a laid back environment. Like even with the police, like you can chat to the police and like have fun. You can have like a fun interaction with a police officer there, which is just kind of mind blowing.
I don't know about this.
No. I mean, I had a weird one the other day, actually.
The other day was last week.
Yeah. Last week it was actually quite hectic.
What happened?
Well, most of the time, police officers are mellow. Like they pull you over if you're driving and be like, "Hey, okay, you were going this fast. Give me like we have to take you in the station, or we have to give you a fine." And you just like pull out 200 rand, and you just like, "Oh, here you go, thank you," or they let you go. Just kind of pay them off. But it's like a very friendly, like fishing conversation. Like, "Oh, I'm sorry, officer. What are we gonna do about this?" And you like wink, and they're like, "Oh, well." Like there's this whole thing where like you have to actually like ask them to bribe you, and then if you like can get that across, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, here you go. I think $200 will work, or 200 rand will work." Yeah, it's pretty trippy. But this time it was weird, man. So I was like driving kind of by where I stay in Melville, which is really nice. Like we can walk to bars and restaurants. And I'm talking to a car guard, and a car guard, for those who don't know, is someone, because unemployment is about 28%. They want to create jobs. So one of the jobs is there are people that stand in the street with vests, and they watch your car while you go about your business, and you give them like 5 rand, which right now the rand is 15 rand to $1. So you give them about 5 rand, 10 rand if you're feeling generous, and they watch your car. And I was chatting to this guy because I like to chat, guilty. And I'm chatting to him for a while, and like cops roll up behind me, and they're like, "Oh man, like, you know, this guy's a drug dealer, right?" And I no. So I'm chatting through the window. They park the car behind me. All 3 of them get out. One guy's got like a fucking some kind of gun, like a shotgun, I'm guessing, because it was long. I don't think it was a rifle, but that doesn't matter. And he gets out, and like all the guys, like all the like car guard guys, are like kind of like stressed a bit, and they're like, "Hey, just tell him like we're trying to play soccer together or something." I was like, "What? Like, why would I tell him we're playing? Like, I'm just chatting to you. Like we're not trying to play soccer. Like, why are you telling me to lie to this cop?" And he comes over and he's like, "What are you doing? Are you buying drugs from these guys?" And I was like, "No, I'm not buying drugs from these guys. I was just chatting." He's like, "They're drug dealers." And I was like, "I just saw people, man. I was just chatting to people." And he told me to get out of the car.
Oh,
and
fuck.
And the thing that I was tripping about is that I had a lot of money on me. I had a lot, like a sketchy amount of money on me, because we were going to go, we just got a dog, and like I had this irrational fear that the dog would run out the garage and get hit by a car. So I was going to go buy fencing. So there are guys that like work on the side of the road, make fences, and I was going to buy fences, and it was like 2,000 some rand. So if you divide that by 15, there you go. So, but that's a decent amount of money. And I had like a stack in my pocket, like, yeah, about that thick. And the cops walk up, and like, these guys are selling drugs. And I'm like a white guy hanging out the car. There's like out the window of this car, and I've got like a stack of money in my pocket.
Yeah, it looks pretty suspect.
Yeah, it looks sketchy, man.
Yeah, it looks
like,
suspect.
Like, no, I'm not buying drugs, but check out my money. What? Like, so I told him flat out, like, I have this money. I'm going to buy a fence. I showed him the picture of the dog that we got, and like texts about it. And he checks the entire car. And while he's doing it, he was really aggressive, man. And there have been all these attacks in Johannesburg as of late, xenophobic attacks, because people from different parts of the continent are moving in to get access to labor. So people like that do gardening work or domestic work in terms of working in people's houses and all that kind of stuff. And people in South Africans are like, nah. These are our jobs. Sounds familiar, huh? Not going to go down that road, but sounds familiar. They don't have the infrastructure to build a wall. And it doesn't work. Just a terrible idea, but whatever. And so what happened is people were rioting. So like pulling Zimbabwean people out of their shops and just like beating the shit out of them and looting places.
Whoa.
Same with Nigerian people. And so this is like going on. This is like a big problem. If you look in the news, you'll see it. And it just started that day that the cop pulled me over, which I was like, why the hell is this guy not actually down in the city dealing with this problem? Why is he playing games with me?
Yeah.
But okay. So he's like going through and looking through the car, and he tells me like, if you bought drugs, you will go to jail and you will be raped. And he told me that about like 5 times. And then he added on, if you go to jail, you will get raped by 40 Nigerian men. And their penises are this long. And he like showed me his hand and like pulled it up and like grabbed his forearm just above the elbow, like insinuating that's how large these men's penises were. And like, he like got into it and just kept on saying that over and over. And I was like, man, like I didn't even do anything. Like I like wasn't buying drugs. Like,
what the fuck?
Like, yeah. And like, he was like, and the other 2 cops were like laughing. And I was like, this is weird. Like, why are you telling me I'm going to get raped repeatedly? And then he asked me what I did for work. And I like described the fact that like, I work for the National Institute of Communicable Disease doing an evaluation for people with HIV that have a fungal disease. And he like went right off the bat and went and like started talking about gay people and like, oh, the gay disease, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, man, I don't even know what to say to this guy, you know? Like,
so he started having a conversation with you, but it was just like about random shit. Like,
well,
not random shit, but he like
just wanted to be a dick.
Yeah.
Like much more than that landlord who took passive aggressive shits, you know, like much more like,
yeah.
Yeah. That, okay. I'm not gonna, I was like, okay, now I'm thinking about this guy taking a passive aggressive shit in the street.
No,
I don't know how that would work.
You're
But yeah, so that was a weird hustle.
Dude,
Yeah.
so
but he didn't even take any money. I like had all that money in my pocket.
So he just wanted to be heard, and then he let you go. Whoa.
Yeah, it was weird.
But maybe he was just having a bad day.
Yeah, it was weird.
He just wanted to bitch about everything. He's like, fuck that.
Yeah, but to go to like you're gonna get raped by a Nigerian, like what the fuck kind of shit is that? To be perfectly honest, you know, like.
Dude, I like what you say that though. I said something like, if I say what the fuck is that shit or something like that, people are like, oh, whoa, that's super aggressive. But like you're from the East Coast, that's what I mean. Like you could say that, and nobody's like, yeah, whatever. They get what you mean, but like I guess I might be aggressive about it.
I mean, but at the same time, it is like but that's also an aggressive. Like the homie had a gun, told me I was.
Yeah, like what the fuck. Dude,
yeah, not cool.
He had just a rifle. It wasn't pointed at you.
No. It was just dangling, kind of like the. Never mind. We won't go there. The dicks.
Yeah. Got you.
I went there. Not gonna go there again. We'll change the topic. But yeah, so Johannesburg's great. Lots of violence.
Dude, that sounds so gnarly, man. No. That makes me worry.
No. It's chill. Like I said, man. Like you can go there. You can like get your coffee. You can go to malls. You can buy whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
You can like live your life and never see any of this stuff, to be perfectly honest. And then there are people who live in informal settlements and don't really, and like, it's rough, man. It's rough. And I think that a lot of the times you can, like in Cape Town, for instance, it's really rough there, but the way that the geography is and the architecture of the city, you don't really see poverty.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's an interesting one. But yeah, I think that it's been a crazy ride and it's going to continue to be a crazy ride for sure. And I think that to take it back to skateboarding, I used to love watching Kenny Reed.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And
all
over the place, film video parts, and the music was always great. And I was kind of like, okay, you know what? Let's make a job out of this. Let's travel some. Let's skate some. Yeah. And feel it out. And so far it's been good. Yeah. And learn a lot about epidemiology. That stuff's cool. And doing research studies. But yeah.
What are you looking for when you're doing tests? Like you said you were testing for what your research? Sorry.
Yeah. No.
So describe that to me a little bit.
So as I said earlier, there was a massive, and there is an HIV epidemic in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that you go about measuring, first of all, if say that I want to get tested for HIV, I go to the doctor, they take a little bit of blood from my finger into a rapid diagnostic tests, and either comes back positive or negative. The issue is if you have very advanced HIV, you're like in a bad space, like you like did not go to the doctor, you didn't get tested until like you are like very ill. Mm-hmm. There's a chance that you have this fungal disease called cryptococcal meningitis, and it's horrific. You get like a terrible headache, and you're confused, and you don't know what the hell is going on. And basically, what was introduced is this screening program. So you go to I say that I go to the doctor, I get my finger poked, I get my HIV test, it comes back positive. They take blood and they send it to the lab just to confirm that the test is correct, and then also just run a couple other tests like CD4 count or viral load just to see how progressed your disease is. If you have a CD4 count under 100, which is very low, they automatically give you a test for cryptococcal antigen. And that's like basically something that's in your blood that tells you, okay, this person has either Cryptococcus gattii or neoformans in their blood, and that progresses to meningitis, and meningitis can kill you. So essentially what we're doing is we're going and we're looking at people who have had this screening program, who have been screened, and trying to tell whether being screened leads to a better health outcome, whether they survive or whether they survive 6 months after their screening test. And it's been absolutely crazy because we're going to facilities all over South Africa. So hopping on planes, getting in cars, and just driving across the country and going to public hospitals. And I think that the thing I like the most out of it isn't particularly the hard science behind it. Like I really, what I like is the hospital systems. Cause like say they give you this test or whatever, like they take it and they test your blood, and then basically that information has to travel to doctors, and that information has to inform the treatment of that patient. And a lot of times it just doesn't get there. So basically,
what do you mean?
So the test results don't get back to the patient. So we're going to the hospitals and the clinics looking for these patient files for the patients that were screened, and we're not finding them. And it's because, first of all, some of the names, people have like traditional names like Mangoba, but Mangoba also goes by Rodney, and Manquuoba is how you spell his name. You can definitely spell that wrong. You could definitely spell or incorrectly enter a birth date. So every single time there's a mistake, an additional patient file is made. So it's possible that one patient has 5 or 6 files, and you think about how that translates to patient care. And then there are also places like rooms where some shit went down, like a filing cabinet of, say, medical records fell over, and instead of like trying to like sort it out and make it work, they just leave that shit there. And like we've gone to hospitals where there are patient records just like thrown all over these back rooms where they don't want to take us, but we basically say like, look, we're working for the government, and they take us in, and it's like just complete chaos. So it's really interesting to kind of see.
Do you have to put those back together?
No, I don't. No. Thank goodness. But what we do have to do is like, if we find a patient record, we take pictures of every single page, and then we pull key information out, and then we aggregate it, and then we make a data set, and then we analyze it, looking for trends, and basically trying to ascertain whether these people who are screened live longer than people that are not screened. Because of the screening. So that's kind of what we're going for loosely.
So you don't actually have any contact with the patients, or you're not worried about contamination or anything like that?
I mean, I'm up in the hospital, and sometimes there's like blood on the patient files and things like that. But no, I'm not worried about it. It's retrospective. If you collect data as prospectively, if you create a cohort, then you have to wait for people to get disease, and that can take a lot of time. You know, especially with cryptococcal meningitis, where only 5% of the population that has it, advanced HIV, has this. But only about 20% medication work for. So there's a lot of people that pass away from this. It's the leading cause of death in people living with HIV after tuberculosis. So it's a lesser known. People are just scared of it, to be perfectly honest. But they don't really know about it. Everyone assumes that they have TB because TB and HIV go together. If you have HIV, you're most likely, or if you have TB, the chances are that you have HIV and you haven't been tested. So there's a lot of stigma around that. And that's actually while I was in.
Is that just to that region or is that in general?
Oh, in general, because HIV makes you immunocompromised. So you're very vulnerable, and you're able to get infection. And the other thing is, like, there's drug resistant TB as well.
Yeah, I bet.
All that kind of stuff. And when I was in Matuba, on top of doing studying, I was also working on a research project looking at contact tracing. And basically, so say that I have TB, I go to the clinic, they send people from the community health workers to my household and they test my family. Because if I have it, it's possible that my family has it. And basically the whole idea was to kind of dissect how that works. And I'm going to be writing a paper about stigma and about how TB is a marker for HIV and how a lot of the people in these communities didn't want these people coming through their houses. And and just basically how that stigma functions within this contact tracing program, which is supposed to be able to get more people into care. And in reality, I think that it's much more complicated than that. So I have to write a paper about that. I got to present at a South Africa tuberculosis conference about it as well. So I did that while I was studying as well. So it was a cool opportunity to be there, but it was a bit rough. And it's very cool to be in Johannesburg as well. I'm working with a good friend on this project, and we get to travel all over the place for it and I mean, when else do you have an excuse to go to hospitals all over a foreign country and kind of feel things out and chat with people? So it's a really interesting perspective. Yeah, to say the least.
Have you gone to any other countries in Africa yet, like Egypt or stuff like that?
So so a ticket to come here to surprise my grandmother for her 80th birthday was $1,100. A ticket to go and travel within the continent of Africa is about the same.
Whoa.
It's
just that big, though?
Expensive. It's that big, and it's also that there are less people that are using those flights, and therefore they have to basically charge more to be able to make it feasible. So if you want to fly, say, to East Africa, to, let's just say, Liberia, you have to usually you have to transfer planes at least 3-4 times. It's crazy, and it takes so long, and it's a headache. Really? And it's very expensive. So I would say that most of the places I've been have been around South Africa. So I've been to Namibia, which is above it on the west coast, which is a beautiful place, lots of sand, desert. And then Mozambique, which Mozambique's just too cool, man.
Too cool?
Yeah, it's too cool. They speak Portuguese. They have the best food. It's cheap. Their beaches are beautiful. It's a very tidal beach, so the water moves miles during high and low tide, and that just opens up a whole expansive area. And I've seen octopuses running on a beach because of that. It's just
Dude,
weird
sick.
stuff. Yeah, just weird stuff. Super cool.
What do you mean running? They're actually running up on their legs and shit?
Yeah.
Tentacles?
Yeah. I was this is. I actually was picking them up and putting them in the water because I was I don't, is this right?
Dude, aliens, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They're aliens, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. So Mozambique was super cool. They got massive shrimps, delicious seafood and fish. And yes, that one was cool. I actually went to Rwanda as well.
Dude, they have amazing coffee there.
Yeah. So I've seen some of the coffee plantations. I went in for my girlfriend's dad's 70th birthday. We went and saw gorillas.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Real life?
Yeah, real life. And also it was interesting seeing how Rwanda is after the genocide as well. And it's one of the fastest growing economies on the continent, and it's being run scarily efficiently because there's so much fear within the people that everyone has just behaved. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's good for the economy. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, kind of trippy one. But yeah, beautiful place. So yes, I've done some bouncing around, but not as much as I would like.
I would expect nothing less than you actually starting to explore within the actual continent of Africa. Is there any places you won't go?
No, I don't think so. I mean, supposedly Congo's really bad. Ebola's there right now, but I think that. I mean, I wouldn't want to go there unless I had a reason to be there.
What about, would you want to go to Egypt to go see the pyramids?
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. My thing is, I like having a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like I've been on vacations where I just like, you roll up to a place and you like do your vacation thing and then you leave and like, you just have that experience. I'd much rather it be something more meaningful, like skate trips. You go, you skate, you meet people, you integrate, you like end up getting into some weird shit.
Yeah.
And
that's always the best part though.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like the unplanned thing. So for you to just kind of like pop up and like, okay, I'm going to stay in a resort. This is what it is. It's okay. I'd much rather say, like, for instance, with the Rotoplast job where I was organizing free medical clinics for kids, I would go there, I'd chop it up with the doctors and like go do things with them, you know? And I think that was much more meaningful, like almost missing my flight in Peru to go get ceviche with this doctor and just like having too many pisco sours. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
That's
like
amazing.
there's like things like
That's
that, man.
amazing.
Like you can't take those experiences away. And I think that that's how I like to do it. I like to like know someone on the ground and go visit them. Like,
oh, dude,
you know,
same way. I'm the same way, bro. But I mean, definitely not on your level, of course. But I want to go someplace. If I'm really gonna go there, I want to know somebody. That's how it was with Barcelona.
Well, guess what?
What? Well, I know somebody in South Africa, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm down. Shit. I mean, dude, I'm trying to go to Africa. Tough. Because of coffee.
Well, yeah,
I'm trying to go to
Ethiopia. Ethiopia would be wonderful.
Oh, dude, yeah, there would be really. I mean, pretty much just Ethiopia. That's honestly more. Or Egypt. I want to see the pyramids. The pyramids are just like next level for me.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool,
dude. I mean, I've heard they've just been raided and completely whatever. But like, okay, fine. I just want to
be one of those people raiding it.
I don't even want to rate it. I just want to look. I just want to be like looking up at the Sphinx and just seeing that shit and be like,
damn, that happened.
Yeah, dude.
Take it back to Kenny Reed. Just do a fat nollie in front of him and
dude,
something in static. Yeah.
I don't even give a fuck about like taking a picture of it or something. I just want to be there and just like
think about the Jews.
Just no,
just
bro.
Think about the Jews.
Feel it, bro.
Pulled all those bricks up there, man. just feel real guilty about it.
No,
like, oh
bro.
man, these Jews were enslaved. And
dude, there's so many different thoughts I have about it. It's like I've heard like Egyptologists or other people who have like theories about how long it's been there and like water erosion on the sides and all these things. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like, damn, to think
Illuminati
to have a thought that it might not be there for like 10,000 plus years or even multiple like more thousands of years. It's just kind of weird. It's like, dude, the fact that it's like this perfect point and like all these like, what the fuck? How did these fools do this? That's like, it just blows my mind because nobody's ever gonna know. Everybody, any knowledge about it is like it's gone. So it's just cool
to witness it,
to see it, and to feel that energy. Because, and then there's also theories about like how it's strategically placed on the planet, and like that, and whatever. Again, neither here nor there.
Stuff,
dude, that shit's so sick. I remember 6th grade mummifying a fucking chicken and like salt. Yeah, I got to mummify. That was part of our class. Yeah, so the whole class, we got like these. Like
you eat it after.
It's like hell no. Like it's like Tupperware. It was like a dead chicken already, but like head still intact, everything like that. I don't even think we degutted it. Like I don't even think we gutted or nothing. Maybe we did, but it was like we filled it up with just like this crazy rock salt, and then just left it and like mummified it and did all these things, and then like left it in this Tupperware thing for hella time, like for a while, and then we like checked it and like buried it, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna like mummify these things. It was like part of our curriculum.
Good smell?
Nah, I mean,
did you like open it up at the end of the year and be like, whoa, it's like a rock, and like
it was pretty tough. Like whatever we did, it like
bit into it.
Hell nah, dude. It was crazy working with the dead chicken. I mean, think about it now. I guess that's kind of gnarly. Like,
yeah, it's a crazy thing to do, but I think that's. I mean, lucky you that you had that experience.
It was sick, but we got to study Egypt for a really long time. And I remember that was the first time I felt like, whoa, this school is actually pretty sick. You know, you learned about the god Osiris and like Horus and then the pharaohs and all the hieroglyphics and everything that was super... I don't know. What are the words I could even like?
It almost feels spiritual.
Spiritual, mystique, the mystery. Another thought about how symbols represented words. You ever thought about this? You notice how throughout history, whether it's like native Indian tribes or the Egyptians or whatever, there was symbols that symbolized words, right? Whatever. It's always, and then even Mayans and all these things, everybody uses symbols, and eventually, maybe it finds its way back. You know, the United States right now, we're all English, and as we've progressed throughout the last couple decades, you know, through pager text, through texting on phones, through this or that, it's gone from like numbers represented certain terms, or you know, you would shorten words like C, like instead of putting like SEEYOU there, like it's CU there, and now there's
emojis,
dude, and now we're using fucking emojis, and you can look at like fucking billboards, and there's like I heart and then a happy face, or like I heart and this, and it's this, and now it's. You already know what that means without even knowing the language.
Many words. I think that it also speaks to human evolution.
We get over it. We're over it. We're like, no, we need shit to say this without actually
words?
saying it. Yeah.
No.
I need symbols. Symbols are, dude. Pictures worth more than pictures worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah. I also think that okay, so we think. Are we going to go down this avenue?
Dude, I'm down.
Okay, so we think in our language. So like I think in English, people you think in Spanish sometimes.
I try to.
You try to. I try to too, actually. But think about. I've been too many times saying think. Imagine if you could only interpret the world through emojis.
What I mean.
Yeah, like imagine your perspective on the world. Like, I think that'd be quite a different way to orient yourself.
But what about
and
this
communicate.
But what about this though? On that same time, instead of looking at it that way, why don't you look at it as like an international language, like skateboarding?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Me and you might not think in the same way, or like meet Merrick, my homie in Barcelona, who's from Prague. He definitely thinks in maybe Slovakian, but he speaks like 4 languages. He looks at an emoji. And we can communicate through the 100 one, or you know, just a smiley face and a heart and on a 100 or something, like, oh yeah, the homie's down. Like, that's all you need to say. It gets it across better than him trying to figure it out maybe in English. And what I understand in English is different from what he understands because he speaks so many languages. There's still like, you know,
common
what I mean?
ground.
Yeah, it's common ground, like skateboarding, in a sense. I mean, that might be a stretch, but. It's so odd to me. I'll be driving down.
Emojis are easier to learn.
Dude, it's super interesting because, again, they can transcend language barriers. And it's, in a weird way, we're kind of reverting, you know? Like
reverting forward.
Reverting in a, well, there's so many, you know, throughout the times, like there's been ice ages and this and this. So it's no secret that the humans have like gotten down to a survival point. And then we eventually expand again through thousands of years or whatever. So maybe all the tribes and things, like we all go back, and then when we start to expand again, and then we start evolving, and we're doing the same shit, just different times. Like, oh, this is a new version.
Yeah,
like,
repeats.
Yeah.
Like fashion.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Bringing the 90s back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's a larger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's trippy. I would love to go to Egypt. But... we'll see. You never know what's going to happen.
Dude.
You never know what's going to happen. But I'm just glad that we made this happen.
Dude, I'm glad you fucking came through, bro. I mean, I can't believe we already done an hour 40 minutes, bro.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, I knew for a fact that you just coming in, and that's crazy. I won't even touch on that too, is that you I'm going to shout out the homie Elliot. I haven't seen Elliot probably since I left LA. And then you meet him, you send me a DM like, hey, I met this dude that you met. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I met him in London.
You met him in London?
I met him in London, yeah. So when I was here, I saw that Another friend from London was visiting him. He's only back here for a little bit, and there was 1 day overlap. So I went and met up with him and our other friend and skated for a little bit and just hung out for a couple hours the other day.
Dude, that's so crazy. That is so crazy. And then
he knows you of like, yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, we've gone on a skate trip and stuff together. Like
Brooklyn Projects, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn Projects, yeah.
So we went into the shop, and because I people there make their own boards, they're okay, but I wanted something a little bit larger, and I actually found a sick traffic board, which takes me back to Philly, which is nice. But we were there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I used to ride for these guys or something." I was like, "So did my friend Kano." He's like, "Oh, Kano."
What? Yeah. That's fucking
I was like,
sick.
"Okay, well, clearly I'm reaching out to Kano." and my wonderful sister lives in San Diego, and we're gonna go down and visit her.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Okay, let's swing by, see what's happening with Kano, and I got dragged on here.
Yes.
And I talked way too much.
No, this is perfect. That's what I want to do. And plus, honestly, it's way better when I'm not talking all the time.
Oh, God.
Because I'd way rather hear about the interesting shit you're doing, traveling the world. And, dude, fuck. I mean, it's been quite an epic ride, and it's not even over yet.
I hope not.
We're going to keep going, bro.
We better.
Dude, okay. Well, I hope it's not another 4 years before I see you again.
Oh, you're coming to South Africa in, I don't know,
Dude.
6 months maybe?
Dude.
3 months?
Dude, okay, tell you what. I'll make you a promise.
You're on. This is like a promise not only to me, it's to everyone listening.
I am trying so hard to go to Africa from origin to go for coffee.
Uh-huh.
If I get all the way over there, when the day comes that I'm over there, no matter what, I will fly down to Johannesburg and I will come and see you. Because I'm like, dude, I'm not going to fly all the way over there and then fly back and not see you.
There's this thing called kloofing as well, which I just heard about.
Kloofing?
Kloofing. And I did it recently, but water erodes mountains over time. And usually they run in streams. So you have mountains that have been eroded by streams, and you walk through the streams, and on either side of you there's just massive faces of granite. And you're walking through the stream, untouched water, you can drink it, like going down ropes, you have to like tie things to trees and stuff. And yeah, we could do that. There's so many cool things to do.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, there's so many cool things to do. So yeah, make it happen.
We're going to make this happen.
Sounds good. I'm holding you to it. I'm going to play this back to you.
Dude, I'm not going to forget,
I'm going to cut it
bro.
and play it back and be like, Kano, where you at? I'm waiting still.
Dude, I'm telling you, we'll make it happen. But until that day, tell the people where they can find you if they so want to follow you on the social media.
Okay. I think it's Daniel.DeSanto.
Daniel@Daniel.DeSanto.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, my brother. Well, have a safe trip back to South Africa, and I will see you on the other side of the world.
There you go. Sounds good.
Give me some.
All right. See you, Kano.
Boom. Peace.
Peace.